What's up, everybody? I'm going to be doing an oil change here on this 2022 Can-Am X3 Turbo. I got the owner's manual here. Now let's go over a few things before we start. When you crawl underneath your machine, you're going to find this hole here in your skid plate, and you're going to look up and see two bolts. One's going to be your primary magnetic drain plug, which is the big fat one, and then your secondary, which will be the skinny one. Here's your torque specs for your secondary, which is your small one. So 15 plus or minus 2 Newton meters, or equivalent to 133 plus or minus 18 inch pounds. The magnetic drain plug, which is your big one, is going to be 30 plus or minus 3 Newton meters, or equivalent to 22 plus or minus 2 foot-pounds. So within the range of 20 to 24 foot-pounds on your magnetic drain plug here. The oil capacity for this machine is going to be 3.7 quarts right there. And what I did here was I just got this XPS oil change kit. Comes with everything you need: 4 quarts of oil, the oil filter, and your rings to replace the primary and secondary oil seal rings. So let's get started. So I crawled up under here, and I'm going to show you the drain bolts. They're right there. You kind of have to look for them. You got to scooch up a little bit and you'll see them right up there. Kind of a side view over here. They're going to be right there. So the socket sizes that I'm going to use, it's going to be a 17 millimeter, and I'm going to use a short socket, and then a T40 for your secondary star bit. The dipstick for your machine is going to be right between these two tubes here. You look in there in the engine. I'd recommend getting a rag and wiping around it, getting all the debris off around it, but it should be just right there. And your oil filter is going to be right here. There are going to be 3 bolts. You take the cap off. I'd recommend wiping around it also, just to get the debris, anything, so that it just doesn't fall inside there. Those are going to be an 8 millimeter socket. I pulled the old O-ring out of this, cleaned it up, got all the old oil out. Here's the new O-ring. Slap that on there. There's a certain orientation that this goes. There's a notch in this cap here. That notch is going to be, this is going to be your first hole closest to you here, and then the notch will be right there. And then go ahead and put these bolts on just finger tight, and then I'll let you know what this torque specs are for those. So I'm going to go ahead and get my drain plugs in. Here's the primary with the magnetic piece. This is going to be torqued to 22 foot-pounds, not inch-pounds. The secondary plug, the smaller one that I just put in, that one I put in at 135 inch-pounds. It's kind of a little bare to put in there. All right, I got those installed. Let's go ahead and put our oil in. We're gonna have to put it in through the oil filter, or not the oil filter, but through the dipstick hole. And that's gonna be 3.7 quarts. So I got the oil in it, and the owner's manual says to let your machine start and run for about 20 seconds. And then when you go ahead and check your oil, you're going to want to make sure your dipstick is screwed in all the way. Pull it out, wipe it clean, and make sure you screw it in all the way down. You don't want to check it with it sitting on top of the threads. Yep, that's right where it's supposed to be. You can't really see it just because it's new oil on a yellow dipstick, but that is where she's supposed to be. So my conclusion with this oil change would be to remove the secondary plug first, because it's a lot smaller hole. You might have better luck putting a funnel in there to catch all your oil, because when I pulled that primary plug out, I mean, it was like a waterfall coming out of there. So next time I change my oil in this, I'm going to pull the secondary plug out first, hopefully not create such a mess. Seems like every time I change oil, you're going to get oil everywhere anyways, but try to reduce that amount of spillage and mess. But remember, you're going to need 17 millimeter socket, a 10 millimeter socket, or a T40 star bit. And then for the top oil filter cap, it's going to be an 8 millimeter socket. And all the torque specs, make sure you torque those down correctly. So anyways, that's the conclusion of this oil change, and hope you guys found this useful.